Oh, can see that. This is our Pennsylvania CareerLink homepage. Now, if some of you have used the system for a while, you might have remembered using what we called CWDS, which is the Commonwealth Workforce Development System. It has been updated to, so this is what I would recommend using, pa.careerlink.pa.gov, and this will be the homepage. You can just Google search that or type that right in. And so a little bit about Pennsylvania CareerLink. This website was launched in, or the PA CareerLink name was launched in July 2012. We are part of the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industries initiative to transform the landscape of how job seekers find family-sustaining jobs and how employers find the skilled candidates that they need. Through this initiative, a user-friendly premier job matching system has been created to help bridge that gap that currently exists between job seekers and employers. And specifically for employers, it's designed to be an easy way to search the talent pool within the PA CareerLink system, a simple way to create job postings and connect with candidates. You can, depending on how candidates have their profile set up, you'll be able to receive detailed information about job seekers when performing the search. And you'll also be able to use certain filtering capabilities to narrow down results if needed. This is a continuously improving website, and if you ever have suggestions, feel free to provide them to myself, or you can do that through the website itself. So again, when you visit pa.careerlink.pa.gov, again, you'll see our homepage here. You can sign in using your credentials. Now this is specifically for Pennsylvania CareerLink, so you'll see a Keystone ID portion, which for employers starts with the letter B and then a dash and then some form of your name typically, and then the password that you create. So the Keystone ID is generated by the system when you establish an account and sign up as a contact. But again, this is specific to Pennsylvania CareerLink. You know, the Keystone ID is used across other platforms such as UC and other state-driven websites. So your Keystone ID is typically always different for across the platforms. However, because it's generated by the system, sometimes it can be the same. There is an initiative to try to make Keystone IDs uniform across platforms. However, that's still in process, and I am unaware of the current time frame of that being completed. But that initiative is, and then they're trying to make it a little easier on the employers. But again, so this is specific to Pennsylvania CareerLink. So this is for job postings and the other few services that we can offer via CareerLink. So going back to the homepage, before you log in, always, you can scroll down. There's a ton of information straight from the homepage that you can access prior to even logging in. This Skill Up Pennsylvania is a new tool that job seekers can use. Employers can also use it to try to help, again, bridge that gap between what experience level job seekers may have and what employers are searching for. So this is a free tool that essentially can offer recognized credentials for job seekers to help, again, build up their experience and certifications. Keep going down. I mean, there's points in there specifically for I'm an employer. And there's a ton of information in here about training, disability services, apprenticeships. Again, another useful tool here. Again, so I cover these 5 counties: Bradford, Sullivan, Susquehanna, Wyoming, and Tioga. Again, if you have offices in other locations, you can click on those to find the local office contacts. Or again, you can just reach out to me and we can get you pointed in the right direction. So that's a little bit about our homepage again. Best way, again, just using that pa.careerlink.pa.gov. Again, if you're used to the old system with CWDS and you had that saved in your favorites, I'd recommend just updating it to, again, pa.careerlink.pa.gov. And we always kind of recommend using, Microsoft Edge or Chrome seem to work the best for these. Typically Firefox, you might run into issues, or Safari or something like that. So if you can, I recommend using Chrome or Microsoft Edge. All right, so from there we'll get into how your homepage will actually look once you're logging in. One second here, got somebody in the lobby I'll let in. So again, now we'll just get into the homepage. So what you'll see when you log it in. And a little disclaimer: this is our training website that I'll be logging into. So some of the information will be different. It's not going to be the exact same that you'll see, but it's a good representation of what you'll see as an employer. But so none of this information is you won't see any personal identifiable information or anything like that. So it is just a training site to be used for events such as this and to learn. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, when you visit careerlink.pa.gov and you enter your credentials in, this is typically what you're going to see as your home page. So you'll see that we have the big widgets in the middle are pretty much what you're going to be doing most of the time. Again, our biggest service is the job postings. When you have active job postings with us, your search for candidates is expanded to find more information on candidates. We have the report a new hire function that is connected with the state. I know sometimes that goes to a third party or such. Maybe it's not under your job duties, but it is an option that's available. And then we also have the work opportunity tax credit portion down here. And then just quick on work opportunity tax credit. That is a program that is an incentive for employers to hire job seekers in certain demographics, such as, veterans do come under that category. Whether disabled veterans or veterans that have been unemployed for a while. So there's quite a few job seekers that meet that. So if you're not familiar with that, feel free to reach out to me afterwards, and I can send you some more information on work opportunity tax credit. And then you also see some alerts and inboxes. Again, if job seekers reach out to you, or depending how you use the system, you can get updates within that. Just going across the top, so you'll have plenty of other sections here where you can see your favorites in your inbox again. Again, if you go up to your own account profile up here, you'll see where you can change password and change hidden questions and answers. So I know a lot of people sometimes if it's been a while, they run into password issues. But if you can't get to this point, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you with password resets or anything along those lines. And we do have these big widgets here in the middle, but one of the things I like to use and like to recommend is using this yellow bar here at the top. So you'll see plenty of tabs here, all with tons of information. And this is kind of the best, in my opinion, the best way to get to whatever you're looking for immediately. We have a help section here again. So I mentioned earlier, if you have any ideas or you're running into issues, you can submit feedback. Some about us section here and the employer services. So you'll see again, PA CareerLink promotes the hiring of veterans. So there's the veteran services. And some of these resources will go over, the new hire reporting or the work opportunity tax credit information if you click on any of these drop downs. Your company profile, so this will be most likely your headquarters. If you're a single location, it'll be your headquarters. And your company contacts is who has access to the system for your company. We'll go over again, the biggest two that you'll use are these My Job postings and the My Talent search. Right, so what I'm going to do right now is just go over the basics of creating a job posting, right? So if you hover over My Job postings, first one down is create a job posting. So when we go into this, it's a 5-step process. You'll see up here in the corner, it tells you what step you're on. And as it says, it's job posting. So the first step is basic information. And if you post with us quite a bit, and I know most of you typically do, you'll see this top box here, this gray box. Would you like to copy a previous job posting? So this is a great tool to make it quick and efficient for the employers. If you have, unfortunately in today's labor market, we have some positions that are kind of a revolving door. They're kind of constantly open. Whether it's like a general labor or something along those lines. So you can just If it shows up here, you can just hit select and it'll pre-fill out all the required information from the last time it was open. If it's not the top one, you can use the drop down and find which last posting what you're looking for. If it's even not on this, because it only saves like the last few, you can go to view all job postings, and in there, it will give you everything you've ever posted with us, and you can copy from a previous posting there. And what that's going to do again is once you hit select, it's going to input everything that was from that last job posting in the required fields. So it's going to speed up the process again and make it go much quicker than anything else that However, if it is a brand new job posting, or if you just want to start from scratch because maybe it's been updated quite a bit since the last time you posted, you can just ignore that and then just go down and fill out all the required sections and work that way. What I'm going to do is, for the sake of time, we're gonna copy here and see what this psychologist PhD is going to enter for us. So as you see it there, it input all the information from the last time the job was posting. It does assign it a new job posting number, and again, this is for CareerLink's system. The job posting number, this is kind of what CareerLink uses to identify the job posting itself. And of course, you'll have today's date and the job title. You'll see in many spots there is a little bit of extra information, so you can view occupation profile information next to these job titles. And what this is going to do, this is going to take us to ONET. To be able to see what ONET is kind of something that can, it's a USDOL website. And that's, if you're building from the bottom up, a brand new job description, ONET can definitely help because it provides direct information about, the job title. And it'll help you be able to build bullet points and help build the job description. Right. Now for the job title itself, I always kind of recommend it for this portion itself, the job title section itself. I say the more basic, the better. There's every industry has different names for similar job titles. So you want to try to find what the basic terminology is to the best of your ability. Like for psychologists, you can't really go much more basic than that. But again, if there's, especially in like nonprofits, there's names, each company calls a specific position something different, right? So you want to kind of get to that basic one, whether it's maybe it's case manager. A case manager can kind of accommodate a lot, right? Rather than other things. But again, that's just for this job title section, and this can help when the job seekers are searching, right? Rather than trying to find, and the system will try to match up the best when they're searching. But again, just basic general terminology in here is kind of best to help job seekers find it a little more easily. And then in the job summary, you can absolutely put exactly what your job title is, right? Like psychologist, youth services, or whatever else you want to add on to it to make it more exactly what you guys might call it within your company. And then the rest of it, just exactly as any other normal job description, whatever your essential duties are, your requirements, the education requirements, any information like that. One thing that we do check as CareerLink staff, and this is why when you submit, they show up in pending status before we, of course, and this is just kind of common sense stuff. We can't have anything discriminatory in here, which I wouldn't expect many employers to do. But just as a reminder, one of the ones I typically see that runs into issues with CareerLink is requires a vehicle or something along those lines. And that gets a little difficult for CareerLink to approve and it is in the disclaimers when you originally set up the account, is we can't require any fees be put into monetary or fees put in for job seekers, right? So again, I'm sure you're all aware of there's a lot of scammers out there that and some headhunters that, oh, will send us $50 before we can start posting your resume or something like that. Of course, we're not going to see that on CareerLink. But on the vehicle side, if it says require a vehicle, well, that one even gets a little touchy just because we can't require a job seeker to have a vehicle. So typically, instead of reliable vehicle, we'll go with the reliable transportation. And that's just, a brief, just a quick, for instance. Again, we don't typically see that, but that just something to keep in mind for there. And if you ever need help creating a job summary, again, feel free to reach out to me or any of our other CareerLink staff. A lot of us been doing this for a while, and we can help you, whether it's wording it correctly or just adding more input into it. And again, you'll see, again, there's, a help section here. One of the things that definitely helps in today's labor market, again, is getting to, is trying to show what your company offers that others do not, right? Because we all know there's a labor market shortage. It's tough to find the job seekers. So, there has always been kind of a rough sketch for this job summary, and you might just copy and paste. But if you had typically put in benefits before, but it was down at the bottom, I'd recommend like bringing those things to the top again. To have them stick out to the job seekers. If you pay better than some of your competitors, put that at the top. If some of your benefits are better than competitors, put that at the top again, because it's tough to define those job seekers. So that's the stuff that you want showing front and center and saying, hey, this is what we offer, and we know we're better than some of the other options. But again, if you have any questions on that or looking for any input, again, feel free to reach out to me or any CareerLink staff, and we can help with that. Going down, you'll see we do have to have at least one job summary in English, but we do have the option of doing one in English and one in Spanish. Again, we don't typically see that a whole lot, but it is an option there for you. And then again, just keep going down and entering all the required information. So this is from the last posting. They had 0 years experience. And I understand for a psychologist, again, this was just used as a training tool. So this isn't exactly perfect for a psychologist. That'd probably be many years of experience and a PhD level there. But for general laborers or entry-level positions, 0 years, or you can do it in months. So if it's customer service or something like that, you're just looking for quick 3 months, of service, high school diploma. And then again, this is another big one here. If you do require a driver's license, select it over there. And I understand we're pretty close to New York border, but typically just go with the PA driver's license. You do have to select what side, what class. If it's just the standard. And then continuing on, you'll see the foreign labor again. Most of that, I don't think that affects any of what we have currently in our crowd here. So that's pretty much probably the biggest section. The biggest step is step 1, the basic information, right? Again, if you're building it from the ground up, that's what's going to take the longest. Getting to step 2, so you see up in the corner, we're on step 2 here, is the job site details. You'll see this new option that they have put on CareerLink here, given our time now. They have added this remote job portion here. And again, given the crowd I have, I don't think that would, it might be an option in the future for some of you guys, but it is an option that is new to CareerLink. Again, I haven't seen too many of these come in yet in our area, but across the state they have been used more and more. And that is a filter that they added on the job seeker side as well. So they can click the remote jobs and that will show the ones that are selected as such. Moving down, the job site address. This is definitely important because again, this is how job seekers are going to see it. So, I know some of you might cover multiple counties or have multiple offices or multiple locations. So don't just put in, headquarters, put in what the work site location is, because how the job seekers are going to see it is based on this address. So you want this to be as accurate as possible. Now I understand sometimes it's not an exact job site. We work at different locations within a county or something like that. what I always recommend for those is trying to find pretty much the central point. You know, so if it is Bradford, you know, Towanda is a pretty good, decent zip code to use for kind of a central point. Because again, as job seekers see it, it defaults to 25 miles radius of that zip code. And it's a generous 25 miles. So always, if you can't put in an exact work site, and we always recommend that you try to put, you know, as exact as you can, try to find a central point to the county that you're posting for. For instance, so this is, you know, a Philadelphia posting here. And one of the things employers see sometimes, you know, again, if you don't have an exact job site address, what you'll see is sometimes you'll just enter the city again, and then again, just making sure the zip code's correct and the state and the county is correct. When you do this, and we'll see this when I go to move on, but it will give you a little warning on it, but we'll get to that when we get there. And then you'll see all the rest of the required information. All right, so for the work shift, you can pick multiples if it's day, evening, or night. You can use the shift relation and or is an option there. Whether it's full-time or part-time. If it is part-time, I always recommend in the job summary portion, kind of put what approximate hours you're kind of looking for. Again, just to help it stand out in the job summary section. Salary requirements here. Again, you can do by year or hourly. It's typically hourly or yearly, but there's some other options in there. So you'll see this is required. However, down here, you have the option to display salary to individuals. So if you click the no, they'll just see competitive salary. Again, if you know that you have a good salary compared to competitors, I would definitely recommend displaying it. Hit yes, and then they'll be able to see it front and center on the job posting itself. Over here, you'll see some wage information again. This again takes you to the ONET, which has wage information. And again, it's based on generic terms, but that's a great tool. Again, if maybe you have a new position starting that you haven't had before and you're not really sure salary wise, you know, definitely check that out. It'll give you, usually it breaks it down at least into PA. Sometimes it'll go to North Central or Northeastern PA and get more local. But it'll usually at least give you the PA wages, and it'll give you the range and the median and all of that. So here again, hours per week. So full-time, typically 40. Again, if you have part-time and it's a range, just do the, so if it's like possibly 20 to 30 hours, I would just put 25 in there. And then again, in the job summary itself, you can put that 20 to 30 in the job summary. Then here again, number of openings. So typically it's just a one opening thing. If it's a factory or something that has a large amount of openings, you can, you know, increase it to 20, and then, well, we have 20 openings, so I want to review more than 20, you know, increase this to 100. But typically if it's just, you know, looking for just one position, you can just keep that as one, and default to 50 here. So that's step 2. Now when I hit this here, I'll show you what I mentioned earlier about the address. So I'll come up with this little error here that says PA CareerLink uses address verification and it doesn't meet the U.S. Postal Service address or could not be verified. Now it is in red, so you know red is kind of that error message, but it gives you an option of leaving the address as is or correct it and resubmit it. So again, if it was just a typo, just go back and just correct it. But again, if you're like, well, I hire for Bradford County and it's not an exact location, so you put Towanda down here and Towanda up here. Even though it gives you the error, if you go down there and you hit submit or save, it will accept it and allow you to go to the next step. So now you again look up to the right corner. We're on step 3 of 5, which is your contact details. There's a ton of information you can do on this site here again as well. And one of the big things to remember about PA CareerLink that may be different than some of the other job boards is it's more of a referral than an actual. So job seekers don't complete an application via CareerLink. We refer them to how you accept your applications. So you see your point of contact information here, and it's just going to start with whoever is the primary point of contact. You can change it to if it's not your name here, or if you have a new staff member, you can create a new contact form. But some of the big things here. So do you require applications to be submitted using your website? So this one is huge for like corporate, like big multi-state national companies. You know, they have a pretty big corporate job page themselves. So they'll typically just hit yes, and then they just send it straight to their company website rather than do anything else via CareerLink. Typically for the smaller employers and for most of what you guys will be using, you'll hit no there because you don't necessarily want them, or maybe you don't have an application on your website. And again, definitely always see that there's the help sections here, and receive PA CareerLink staff assistance. So this one is one of the biggest differences is a normal job posting is open for 60 days. When you click on receive PA CareerLink staff assistance, these job postings will be open for 180 days. And then one of our staff members searches our system to see if there's anybody that might be a suitable match. It's the same search you can do as an employer, but you know, CareerLink staff will do it. Typically, I recommend this one. One of the programs we have is the Senior Community Service Employment Program. So that's for older adults, where it's again it's an ongoing job posting. So rather than them refreshing it every 60 days, they'll click yes to staff assistance because, like I said, it'll be open for 180 days. However, for some employers, you know, I typically do recommend refreshing it sooner than 180 days, right? Because the posting itself will kind of get stale, and you know, it'll kind of drop out of the view of the job seekers. So it can be a useful tool, but there's certain circumstances where it's more useful than others. Then moving down, so once you hit this no, you'll see some of these options go away if you select yes, but hitting no gives you more options for follow-up. Display company name, I kind of always recommend that. Typically when people hit no is when they're a staffing agency or something along those lines. And then, so this is the big section here, require additional follow-up. So these are the options that we allow for employers to select. So there's a ton of information. And I always recommend, you know, kind of making, again, just thinking as a job seeker, especially now with the labor market shortage, what's the easiest way for them to follow up? You know, calling is definitely a good option. I understand, you know, that's not really completing an application, but this just starts the process rolling, you know, gets that initial introduction where you can get some information from them and then have them follow up however you like. Another great one is the resume. You know, whether people typically don't use the mail option anymore, but you can have them email to the primary contact. And you'll see over here the little preview section, it updates to how the job seeker is essentially going to see it. So those are, again, for smaller organizations, those are kind of the two that I kind of recommend having as an option, or one of the two. Again, because thinking from a job seeker side, which is going to be easier for them to get a hold of you. Now, of course, there are some other web options here. Another one that is pretty highly used is apply in person. Sorry, that's the next one down. Apply in person. So you can typically use the company address because you want them to come to the headquarters where you have applications or something. And you know, if somebody's pretty local to that, they'll definitely choose that option. If somebody's a little further away from yours, or like today, there's bad weather, they'll probably choose the email or call option. Those are definitely three great options to have, especially for, you know, smaller organizations that don't have, you know, the online presence. Now there is also the option for websites down here if you want to send them to an alternate website, or maybe you do have a small application portion on your company site. You know, you can feel free to just copy and post that over into here. And the last one I want to show is this follow special instructions. So this can't be the only option. You have to have something else selected up here. But this is another one that I kind of recommend that employers use if you do have something like a call and ask for Kevin, you know, or apply in person only between the hours of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or something like that. And another great way is, some recruiters have started to they have company cell phones now, so they can receive text or something. So if you want to receive a text, you can put that down here. Text Kevin at 555 whatever to for more information or something like that. So it is limited to how many characters you can do, 300 total, but you can still fit a good amount of information in there. So it's definitely something to think about, again, especially if you're willing to accept text, because certain generations do use that option more than calling anymore, right? So again, just thinking from a job seeker side, where it's hard to find those job seekers now, you want to provide as a good few options in there, and allow them to make the follow-up correctly with you. So that's step 3 of 5 there. Oh, I didn't unselect it, so it gave me a warning there. There we go. Step 4 or 5, this job posting screening questionnaire. This isn't used a ton anymore. It can be an option. Typically you'll see it in sometimes I'll see it in like CDL positions or something. And you can kind of set this up how you like. Do you have experience as CDL and how many years and such? So you can build new questionnaires, or if you've used this before, it'll give you the option to view previous ones, to use existing ones. But essentially you can set it up as, essay blocks or just yes or no questions. Again, maybe it might be, if you have certain requirements that you just want to stand out a little bit more and make the job seeker answer right off the bat. Do you have a high school diploma? Yes, no, those kind of things. Feel free to use this questionnaire. And if you have any questions on this, again, feel free to reach out to me. For this one, again, it's typically not used a whole lot anymore, but it's definitely an option there that we can use. So now we'll see around step 5, and this you'll see all the time. You're on the review step. You'll always see this information in red here. Required information has not yet been provided. Job posting cannot be submitted until the following sections are completed. So you are reviewing, and it will show you everything that you have inputted in here. But you'll always get that information in the red there. And it tells you right up here, job posting incomplete. So it's asking for the occupation matching, and primary occupation is missing. So all you have to do is just go over here and click this edit button. And essentially this is how our system uses, uses the technology to try to match the job seeker with what job posting you're creating. So based on the job title that we entered, psychologist, the system thinks that these 3 occupations are probably about the closest to what you're looking for. And again, these are straight from ONET, which is that US DOL. Again, since every employer sometimes has a different title, these are generic titles, right? So if you have like a laborer position, that usually finds some pretty good occupation titles. However, if it's kind of a different title, you might see nothing show up in here. It doesn't recognize what title you're looking for. And that's when you can use this advanced occupation selection. So this thing kind of lets you just search, again, like I said previously, case manager. So you don't necessarily need the job summary, just put in the job title there and do a search, and we'll see. So again, based on case manager, these are the kind of titles that are similar to that: social workers, social and human service assistants. So, those can all, people with those experience can all possibly meet the requirements for case manager. So if you can select just one, or you can select all 3 of them and add them on there. And again, having multiple occupation titles is not a bad thing, again, because this kind of helps the system find, based on what job seekers have as their experience, find ones that could be suitable, could be qualified for your position. So it's fine having multiple in here. But one of the things you do need to remember is one of them, just one of them, needs to be set as a primary occupation. So going off that this was a psychologist position, we'll go ahead and click this one down here and hit save and continue. And then what you'll see is that clears that message that we received, and it'll take us back to the review section. And then we can continue on just making sure we have reviewed everything and entered everything correctly. So you see that error message is gone. And then again, just give it a quick overview, make sure you have everything as you want. And you'll see, until you hit this, we're not going to see it as CareerLink staff. I do occasionally find incomplete job postings through my own searches, but they don't show up directly, in our view. So they are hard to find. So until you hit submit for approval, we're not going to necessarily see it as CareerLink staff. Essentially what that says is once you do submit it, the only ones that can edit are CareerLink staff. So if you like, oh, I forgot to enter something, or hey, my boss wants me to enter something else and it's already, just reach out to me and we can edit anything as needed. So that's essentially what the job posting process is. Before I go into the candidate, the searching candidates, is there any questions on any of that? And feel free to unmute yourselves. Sorry, I just checked the chat here. All right, so it doesn't look like any questions right now. So we'll go back into, so once again that you have your job posting submitted, I will see it as a CareerLink staff. And again, I cover quite a few counties. So again, based on that job site address, they'll come to me and I'll again approve them. And again, that's just to make sure there's no discriminatory language. It meets minimum wage requirements and such like that. But then, those will get all done once you submit it, unless it's the weekend. I get them done pretty much that same day or within 2 days. So if it's outside of those 2 days and you still haven't seen it approved, again, go ahead and reach out to me and we'll get that addressed. But once you have a job posting approved and active, again, going back up to this yellow bar here, ton of information between these two. My talent search. So you can see all these selections in here. You can search candidates. And this is a great tool, again, just using basic generic terminology. Maybe you just have a few extra time where you're looking, or you have a position that's harder to fill and you're just trying to, you have a little bit of time to look. You can just come in here and that, again, just basic terminology and do a search. And what our system is going to do is find, again, candidates based on their experience that they think might meet these requirements. We'll see what we get for Tawanda here. And of course, when we use, unfortunately, in some of our rural areas, it's harder to find some of these more in-depth positions. Where if I would have put in Philadelphia's zip code, I'm sure there'll be more candidates being brought up. But that's why it is a little tougher to find, again, in our area. My system's going a little slow today. So another thing that you can actually do with, if you just put even in the zip code, you can do searches just based on that itself. And that will pretty much just, it will give you every candidate that's within, well, it's going a little slow here. Let's try 1691. And again, given that this is the training site, it shows up, it's a little different than what you'll see. But again, you can just find candidates based on exactly, locations that you might have, offices in or such. And I think it's just going a little slower because it's snowing outside. It doesn't like the weather too much, but all right. So one of the other things here, another way to do searching candidates is once you have open jobs, again, use this yellow toolbar up here, my job postings. And again, this is the training side. I know I've done this on the non-training side, and you can put in just the zip code and it'll show you all the job seekers within that area. Or again, you can use the job title and just kind of play around with the system to see, and even look at these tips. It gives you good information on certain keywords you can put in there to get the best candidate search. So again, this is under my job postings here. This will show you that everything that you have open and active. That's what the default will to be, open and active in all counties. So again, being the training site, they have a ton put in here. Couple things to keep an eye on. Look for this last referral date. You'll see a number of views, right? So one person saw this one, but they didn't actually follow through with the referral process. They just viewed it and moved on. So looking down to referral, so this one has a referral date. So to see who's been clicking on this one, just go over here and hit this radio button, and then you can view the My Candidates section. And this will show you, again, this is a good way to kind of the balance your records. So again, these people here clicked on the job posting, and they should have followed up by one of those three options that we gave them: call, email, a resume, or apply in person. So this is a good way to say, hey, I haven't heard from this Janice Fisher. With this Heidi, I have contacted, and we got a follow-up scheduled or something, but this one I have not heard of. So this is a good way, again, given our labor market, you can click on these people and try. It'll provide some more information. Again, this is based on what the job seeker makes public information. They have the option of keeping some of this information hidden if they don't want to be found. But typically, if they're a serious job seeker, they'll have a phone number or an email over here. Again, this is a training site, so none of this information is actual information. But you'll see some contact information, so you can reach out. Hey, I haven't heard from this person. Give them a call. Leave them a, see if, hey, we still have that LPN position open. Are you still interested? Those kind of things. And again, a couple of years ago, it might not have been as necessary, but unfortunately, that's just what in the time we're in, and I'm sure you're all, well aware of that. But as you see, it'll give you their experience, so you can kind of see, and if it's something like for instance, this was the psychologist, and you click on them, you see, well, they're an LPN, like, well, they don't have the necessary requirements. It's something where you can just update the referral status as, employer not interested, or job seeker not qualified. Or you can just move on to the next one. But what you'll see down here is, feel free to just give them a call via the phone number they have up here. But you also have the options down here. You can print their resume, or you can contact the candidate through the CareerLink system. Some of the options that we provide. So again, a few years ago, these kind of tools might not have been necessary, but with what we have now, it's definitely a challenge to find job seekers. So any options that you have, I always recommend doing. So you see, I'll kind of print up a boilerplate message here to send out to them that they can receive via their CareerLink account. Or again, that's the option. Or again, you can just use their contact information up here if they provided it, whether email or phone number, to give them a call or email them and ask them about it. If you find this person via the search candidates, they haven't necessarily clicked on the job posting, you can definitely add them to your favorites. So, you're just trying to find a few people that you're gonna, call later on in the afternoon or something. Add them to your favorites so you can see them up here for quick references in the future. A ton of information you can do with these searching candidates. Let me see here. Just check my notes, see what else I have. All right. So some of the things you might others you might see in these My Job postings. Go back to that. So again, you'll see these ones that have the referrals. So which one was it? 701. Maybe this one here. Yep, this one here. So sometimes you won't necessarily see a name. You'll see this candidate number 48, and this is a number for their CareerLink. So again, this is based on what a job seeker has their preferences set up on. Again, sometimes they have the option to hide their name, or you know, hide some other information. So you know, when we get in-person job seeker foot traffic, you know, the serious job seekers, we go over this. You want to be able to be found by employers, have your name out there. But you know, if it's been a job seeker who maybe just recently started getting back into CareerLink and they haven't updated their preferences, you might see something like this. You know, and again, feel free to try to contact, or you can reach out to myself, and we can try to find out more information. You know, or CareerLink staff can reach out to job seekers and be like, hey, we saw your name with this LPN job posting. Are you interested? You know, so we can try to help bridge that gap, but just to be aware that sometimes you will see that. And again, that is based on the job seeker's preferences, how they have it set up. And just double checking my notes here again. I think I just about covered everything I wanted. So again, you know, the highlights that I would definitely recommend is a ton of information in this yellow bar here. Up here, our homepage button will take us back to where we originally started from. But this is definitely some easy ways to access, you know, whether you're creating a new one, looking up your old or your active ones and seeing who's clicked on them, or you just have time to search their system for candidates or candidate recommendations. You know, there's a ton of information in here. And again, you know, if you want more information, or, you know, it's a couple of weeks from now or a month from now, and you're like, oh, I just forget exactly how, reach out to us. You know, CareerLink staff is here. That's what we're here for, is to help you however is needed. Oh, one last, you'll see up here in the corner. So with this training site, they did have an incomplete job posting. Like I mentioned before, so these ones it's harder for us to find as CareerLink staff. So if it shows up incomplete, you know, it's most likely not going to be noticed within those 2 days. So if you started something then forgot about it, you know, always when you're logging in, check and make sure you don't have any incomplete ones. You know, I eventually will find them and reach out and say, hey, was it created in error, or do you want that open? But until you actually submit it, it's going to be an incomplete job, and it's tough for us to find. That being said, you know, that's everything I wanted to cover.